I have decided that it is my responsibility to properly tier list every single Papa's game. Looking at my resume of both playing every Papa's game and having worked the minimum wage job equivalent to about half of these Papa's games, I figure I and I alone am properly qualified to rank them. We will be tiering these in chronological order. At least I think this list is in chronological order. I didn't make it. Starting up, we have Papa's Pizzeria. The classic, the original. Now, the first thing that comes to mind when I think of Papa's Pizzeria is the opening cutscene. Oh, he looks annoyed. Oh, do you see the way he moved? Absolutely horrifying. The way they wiggle and move. I mean, it truly sets the tone that Papa's is actually a horror game. The horror of working a minimum wage job. In comparison to the later games, meh because of what it becomes. Pizzeria is good, but it's basic, which is why it's a meh tier. I went back and I watched all my videos on this to get like a refresher, a recap of all the different Papa's games. The plot of Burgeria is that you get a note in the mail that says meet here for a special quote-unquote prize. And then when you get there, instead of a proper prize in the back alley with Papa Louie and a lookout, you receive a minimum wage job. Hilarious. So the plot alone makes this a great game. Things that take off for me, you have to cook it with like percentage numbers on like the patty. You have to get to like a 50-50 and I could never figure that out. And not to mention that after a while, the burger can like cool down, which why not just put it in the microwave and heat it right back up? But what do I know? I did like that you could serve people raw meat. That brings it back up a tier for me. Burgeria was good. You could also go crazy with those builds. I know I gave Prudence some bad burgers in my day. Papa's Taco Mia. Missed opportunity with the name, first of all. It's the only Papa's game that doesn't end in Ria. And I feel like Taqueria would have been so easy. I'm sure there's a reason why they didn't, but I don't know it, so I'm still disappointed as of now. When I played this, I actually managed to break the fourth wall and have my taco just disintegrate, which is really fun. Plus, you can serve raw meat, which instantly bumps it up a tier for me. Papa's Taco Mia was good. It was a good, solid Papa's game. Now, Freezeria, specifically the deluxe version, absolutely a god tier Papa's game. I did a whole series on Freezeria. It has a good plot. You get kidnapped and forced to work on an island. It's so much fun. The specials are fun. The concept is fun. There's something about working a minimum wage job at an ice cream shop on an island. Minimum wage isn't even the right word. You don't even get paid a minimum wage. It's just fun. Freezeria Deluxe is just, I think, where Papa's games have peaked. We haven't quite hit that since Freezeria. Up next, Pancakeria. I personally am not happy with the character selection in Pancakeria. I hate both Prudence and Cooper, which brings this down a tier for me. When I played it, look, I'm trying not to tier list them on the glitches I found, but when I played Pancakeria, I found a glitch that literally allowed me to rip through space-time. I had blueberries coming out of nowhere. It's gonna be a meh for me. I don't just love it. It was very safe, very basic. Next up, we have Wingeria. First of all, the plot line in Wingeria is that you win a prize, and the prize is just a job. You win the job of a business. If for some reason a lawyer is watching this, is it legal to gift someone the full responsibilities of a business? Can you do that? Like, oh hey, you won this prize. It's a business, now it's yours, you have to run it. Biblically accurate wings is also another reason to love Wingeria. And of course, it gets another point, raw chicken. I thought Wingeria was awesome. Any game that I can serve someone raw meat is a win in my eyes. Up next, we have Hotdogeria. There's probably a little bit of personal bias on this one. I despise hot dogs. I think they are the nastiest food that we've ever managed to come up with. They had the percentage thing going on here too, which drove me up the wall because if you missed it by like 0.1 seconds, you had to sit there and stare at these godforsaken hot dogs until they were exactly right. And even that wasn't right somehow. I didn't like Hotdogeria. Up next, we have Cupcakeria. They do limit your creativity in Cupcakeria. They wouldn't allow you to go to the sky with the toppings. You could never get perfect. The icing station is so cruel. You could never, there was no perfect score in Cupcakeria, at least not for me. This is the only plot line in a Papa's game that I truly feel like you deserve to work at the restaurant. The whole plot is that you rear-end Papa Louie. And even if he was supposed to go through the stop sign, even whatever the reason is, when you rear-end someone, you're at fault. And you get to work off your debt working at a cupcake shop. There's worse things. Overall, Cupcakeria was fine. It was a good game. No raw chicken in it though, so that does not make it an awesome game. Papa's Pastaria. I did not particularly enjoy Pastaria. The plot made no sense. And I know who's playing the games for the plot, but I feel like it's a point that I have to bring up. It made no sense. The breadsticks could get cold way too quickly. If you did not have that breadstick done at the same time as the pasta, you might as well just throw out the whole meal. There's no point. And my final grievance with Pastaria is that you can't rapidly shake the pasta or else it flies out of the container. And while it's fair, it limits my creativity. So honestly, Pastaria, it's above Hotdogeria for me, but not a favorite of mine. Up next, we have Donuteria. Donuteria is one of the ones that I hold closer to my heart. I currently work at a donut shop as one of my many jobs that I have. I will let you know, the way they make donuts in Papa's Donuteria is so far from being accurate that it is quite comical. If you go to a donut shop and they're making your donut to order, like they're like you order and they go back and start preparing the dough, you need to leave. The best donut shops make all of the donuts fresh each morning. This is what my shop does. They make everything in the mornings. We're done with production about 8 a.m. probably. And that's it. They're made every morning. That's how it should be. None of this on order thing. No. But it's okay. I really enjoyed that you could write messages on the donuts. I thought that was amazing. I do wish you could have gone a bit crazier, like stacking the toppings. But overall, Donuteria was an awesome game. We have Papa's CHEESERIA next. That is absolutely a god tier, and let me explain why, because I know some people are going to disagree with this. I am a little bit biased, because when I played it, I managed to break it and get my sandwiches to look like little dogs. Do a flip. Good boy. Do a flip. Good boy. Do a flip. Good boy. Uh-oh. Like, I have never laughed so hard recording a Papa's game as I have when I played CHEESERIA. I did actually manage to break the game several times as well, but oh my goodness, it was so fun. Not to mention the plot of CHEESERIA is that you go inside, you're like performing a gig at CHEESERIA, and then while you go inside to like okay things before you start putting your equipment in, you get robbed by, I'm assuming Papa. I never did get to the end of the game. And then you turn around and your same thing, the items that were robbed from you are in the store across the street for sale. And Papa's like, well, you know, the only thing we can do is offer you a job to buy back your music instruments. It's just such an absurd plot. CHEESERIA, the concept of making grilled cheese sandwiches, it's just a great game. Next up, we have one of the more difficult Papa's games, at least in my opinion, Papa's Bakeria. When you're playing the game, you can get points off for people complaining that it takes too long. I am baking them a whole pie. A whole pie. And you know where we are? You know where this game takes place? A mall. These people don't have to sit and stare at me while their pie bakes. They could easily go enjoy the mall, do some shopping, anything, but they choose to sit and stare at me for hours while I bake their pie to perfection. I don't dislike Bakeria. I think it's a very good game. I'm very neutral on it. I don't think it deserves to go with anything on the lower levels, but I don't think it's quite up to the awesome or god tiers. I do like it more than Cupcakeria though. Oh, my first ever Papa's game I played, Papa's Sushiria. I used to be a sushi chef, so I am a little bit biased on this one as well. I know this game is commonly regarded as the most difficult of the Papa's games, and with that, I have to agree. However, due to my probably a little bit bias of being an ex-sushi chef, I loved Sushiria. The idea of like making the rice per sushi roll is hysterical. I loved it. It was so stupid. I loved it. I didn't really get the plot. I don't think it's a god tier, but I'm gonna rank it awesome. Bottom of awesome. But it means a lot to me. Next up is Scooperia. I don't really remember Scooperia. I went back and watched my video on it, and I didn't even remember recording it. But they do limit your creativity. You can't massively stack up your ice cream cookies, which would have been fun. It's a very basic Papa's game, but it's a good Papa's game. I'm gonna put it at the bottom of good here. Now, we've finished the era of the Flash Papa's games here, and we're moving on to the mobile-only ones. First up is Mocharia. I really enjoyed Mocharia. Not only is the plot of Mocharia absolutely insane, for those of you who are not educated on the Papa's lore, I'll explain it. For the plot of Mocharia, you walk into the business, you apply for this job, right? This minimum wage job. You're like, okay, I'll make coffee, whatever, I'll be a barista. And at the bottom of it, you realize that it's a film contract and that you have signed on to be a part of a movie that essentially just films your minimum wage job. And if that's not a great plot, I don't know what is. Not to mention that the drinks are absolutely beautiful. My only complaint with Mocharia is that you are not allowed to go crazy with the drinks. Like, no matter how much you try to mess it up, it's gonna end up looking like a relatively decent drink at the end of the day. Overall, Mocharia is an awesome game. It's not God tier, because I don't think it can compete, but it's definitely the top of the awesome tier. Next up, we have Papa's Cluck Around and Find Out. This game, I'm very neutral on this game. It's like Chicken Sandwich Wars is the plot. It's very well balanced. When I play it, I feel like I have a system, I know it works. If I do my system well, I can catch ahead of the day. It's very similar to Burgeria in the concept of that a chicken sandwich is just a burger with chicken. But it's like a revamped Burgeria, and then you also have to make them like slushies on the side. Overall, it's good. I don't think it quite has the originality to tick up into awesome, but I do think it's the top of good. And last, but not least, we have the newest installment of the Papa series, Papa Paleteria. Papa's Paleteria is hard for me. I really wanted to like it. It has a good concept. It's a very pretty game. It's one of my favorite games visually, but the gameplay just isn't there. It is an extremely easy Papa's game, by far the easiest Papa's game to have existed so far. After the first day or two, once you understand everything, it becomes far too easy and you are sitting there waiting for things to happen. Like, I could be done with the first customer and have to wait 40 seconds for the next, I could have their stuff in the freezer waiting, and I would have to wait 45 seconds of downtime between orders. And I kept waiting for it to get harder, but it just never got more challenging. So I really didn't like Papa's Paleteria. It's too basic. It was too easy. Papa really needed to challenge me more. And these are my rankings. I know some of you are probably going to disagree with me on that, and that's okay. I will happily argue with you in the comments to prove why you're wrong. So go ahead, I'll respond. We'll have civil arguments in the comments here. I know this is a bit different from what I usually do, but I feel like I'd earned the right to properly tier list every one of these games. Thank you guys. I'll see you guys next time and take care. Bye.